This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of ways, means, times, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, it is all about Auburn sports. It is all about the Auburn family. And I got that backwards, the Auburn culture and the Auburn family, because it is all about Auburn family. We got to have those members of the family here. I am your host, Kyle Loomis, and alongside me, back in chair number 2 after a 1-week sabbatical, Mr. Austin Scott. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Kyle. War Eagle to you. We tried to make it work best we could last week. I'll be honest, I'm not sad. I'm sad I missed it. I'm not sad of the reasoning I missed it. I had a great time in Nashville with some friends, seeing Auburn get to win another banner, win another ring, and a lot has happened since then. And I'm ready to get into it I'm getting ready to get into all of it with you here over the next hour.
I am super jealous that you got to be there. I thought very much about making the snap decision to get a ticket and get up there, but I was fearful of what happened to you, that I wouldn't make it back in time. Of course, in hindsight, we could have just pulled off a live show from Bridgestone Arena. Not that they would have allowed us to do that, but I mean, sometimes you just don't ask for permission. You ask for forgiveness, right?
100%.
That's how it's supposed to. Maybe we'll have to keep that in mind going forward. Obviously, just real quick right there, since we didn't get to talk with us last week, very briefly, your thoughts on what it was like to be there for the championship.
Really awesome. Really awesome. Bought a ticket with some friends, like 2 minutes left in the Mississippi State game when it looked like things were going to be working out where Auburn would be playing on Sunday. Bought just whatever the cheapest we could find to get in. Worked our way down by the halftime to some pretty great seats that my sister-in-law had been kind of watching for us, and stayed there and got to see the celebration, the nets cutting down, everything from right there. And really awesome to see. We were talking in our E2C Discord for our give me the right terminology, Kyle.
The Conquer Club.
The Conquer Club.
You guys say it like that. You guys say
the Conquer Club. And that is for those who
subscribe here on YouTube. You're not subscribe. You have to subscribe regardless. You have to hit the join button on YouTube, or go to patreon.com/E2C Network. It's like we planned this or something.
That's how you get in the Discord that was giving me lots and lots of trouble for making the trip to Nashville. But the curse was broken. I saw a victory, and I saw Auburn win the SEC tournament. So that was really awesome. I really enjoyed it. Something I'm definitely glad I did. But, man, it was a long day and kept me getting back pretty late with the family, and was not able to make it. So thank you to AJ Richardson for popping in last minute last week and talking all things with Kyle on Selection Sunday. But really, hey, I missed it. Loved seeing Auburn win a championship.
Well, let's move to wider basketball discussion, and we're going to talk about it, folks. Just hold your horses. But I want to ask something just in general about this, because even though it's more broad than just Auburn, let me just ask you this question, Austin. How's your bracket feeling?
Not great. It's
really
mine is not great. Very long story short, I went back and forth on a lot of different things all the way up until the night before. I was really trying to not have orange and blue glasses on.
Boy, did you.
Boy, did I. And, it really wouldn't have mattered where I had Auburn. I was debating between losing to UConn and going further. I think many people, Auburn people, were in the similar boat. Didn't matter. We'll talk about that. But that kind of messed it up. The rest is like, okay, like there was a while there for the first round, every kind of toss-up game, which toss-up games I throw from like 6-11 to like 8-9, I guess.
Yeah.
Or 5-12 to 8-9, yeah.
5-12 happens a ton. So to me, it's basically, if you find yourself as a 5 seed, you better be praying real hard that you're going to get the 12 seed that's really a 12 seed.
So like 5-12 to 8-9, there was a while there for every single one of those toss-ups I was missing on, and it was driving me crazy.
Yeah.
I was mad at myself for a couple things. I bet against coaches that I should just not bet against.
Did you
Tom
bet
Izzo
against
being
Tom
one.
Izzo?
I sure did. I
When are
started.
people gonna listen to me on
I
this?
look, Kyle. I usually don't, but I messed up. I'm sorry, Tom Izzo. So I started 0-2. It's gotten a little bit better. It's not great.
Yeah.
Obviously, Auburn losing did not help me. I wanted to talk about this last week if I got on the show, but we did do brackets. Everyone in my house, living and breathing, did a bracket. That means Brooks and Barrett did a bracket. That means Emily did a bracket. That means my dog did a bracket. There are 5 brackets on our fridge down there. Now look, puffs, little puffs. Parents know what I'm talking about. Puffs are a powerful thing. You can get kids to choose left or right. And that's how we did it with Brooks and Barrett.
I was wondering.
Brooks is winning this household in most of the groups I have him in. Brooks is a pretty stand-up job. He's got a great bracket.
You know,
Barrett does not have the gift. He picked an undetermined 16 seed to make the championship game at that time and had Samford beating them in the national championship. So I sent it to my family like this, and I know I'm talking about this for way too long. The combined total seed, like when you add up all the seeds of his final 4, was somewhere in the 50s. Brooks's was like 7.
okay.
And so it's not going well for Barrett. It's going pretty good for Brooks. Emily and I are somewhere, and Harper the dog are somewhere in between. So that's how our house is. How's yours
You,
bracket doing, Kyle?
you know, my bracket was, first of all, I commend you for your creativity,
Thank
and
you.
wow, I
A
mean,
lifelong dream that was accomplished this week. It was a blast.
aim high, aim high.
That's right.
My bracket was doing fine until Sunday evening. I had surprisingly some really,
Sunday, like tonight?
like tonight, like
Oh, okay.
Baylor losing.
Yeah.
Um, if again, I'm just going to go ahead and preface this. We always record this live. Alabama right now is having a hard time with Grand Canyon. Probably going to win it, but if they lose it, they're going to hurt me. So it's kind of that yin and yang. You know, which way do I want to be happy?
Oh, you
Y'all know,
don't care.
yeah, y'all know which way I want to be happy. But anyway, yeah, I've had a pretty decent bracket this year. I made some second changes. Like I'm talking about, I logged in 1 minute left before they're live
Oh, wow.
and switched over some things that were brilliant. I can't remember them
There
all,
you go.
but I'm just like, how did I, like, it just, something told me switch and it saved me. So this has been one of my better years in recent.
That's
and,
good.
I think my Final Four is still intact, all that as of
That's
this
good.
moment.
I've got 3. I
knock on
think
wood.
I've got 3. Yeah. Yeah, I've got 3.
Knock on wood. All right, enough about the brackets. Let's get back to some more Auburn stuff here. But we can talk about the brackets because women's basketball competed for the very first time under Johnny Harris in March Madness. Now, preface that a little bit. They were playing in, so they were part of the first 4. They didn't actually make the tournament. They were in, but it's always that debate. Do you count it? If it's someone you don't like, you're going to say, "Ha ha, you didn't really make it in." But if your team made it in, you're going to say, we count it. It's just how we all are as fans. I just want to say it didn't end obviously the way we wanted it to. They didn't give up. They kind of had a gap between them and Arizona they couldn't overcome, got close a few times, but just congratulations to them for taking that next step as a program. What we've been talking a lot about, Austin, about the trajectory is great.
Yes, absolutely. It was something that we really I hate to see it in that way. I really thought they should have been in the field 64 regardless. I know I'm Mr. Auburn fan here, but I really thought they had the resume to make it. Was surprised they had to be in the play-in. However, they wasn't able to come through against Arizona and it was sent home. I hate that, but like Kyle was saying, that is a next step in the trajectory. I even saw Auburn put out a graphic, similar outlining that trajectory and that things are going the right way.
Yep.
As long as that continues to happen, I'm not concerned about this program at all. But hate that it ended that way. Glad to see that their name was called on Selection Sunday.
The great thing is, if you look at it, they're not taking these extraordinary leaps and bounds that are going to be hard to match the next year. And look, there's something to be said for great quick turnarounds, right? That's awesome. We've seen that in other sports. But to me, like, I kind of like this progression, getting there slowly and taking those next steps every time. And so now we know where the floor is, making the tournament, even as a first 4. Next year, that should be an expectation, I think. Obviously, things change. Every year is different, but Either way, congratulations to them. I was very excited to watch the trajectory of this program and watch this season too. I want to mention this for Auburn tradition stuff. Last year, we talked about it in the debut of, I'll call it version maybe of this, of the War Eagle flight coming to Auburn baseball. It was a huge success. You can go watch the video, the first one, on our YouTube channel and on our social media channels if you haven't seen the very first one, courtesy of our friend Clint Richardson of the show.
This was that was at the LSU game, right? I think I was there for that. I don't know if it was the first one. I know I've seen one, but I don't.
Whatever the first one was, and Clint
Yeah.
was there, and he and his lovely wife snagged a video for us for posterity to have that historical moment. It's back, and whether it's rain or shine, apparently it's going to go off and do it several times this year. I don't have the list of the games, but I think four total games this year that you can see the War Eagle flight from beyond the scoreboard, I guess above the scoreboard, wherever it was, and fly on in there. I mean, it's great. Austin, he's watching things live. It's all right.
No,
I told you.
he
Let's
threw
talk
it
about
away.
the Eagles. Talk about the Eagles.
I love it. I'm pretty sure the one I was there for last year was the first one, and it just happened to be, long story, don't need to go into it, that we were there for it. And so I'm glad that they've kind of, I like that they have put certain days it's going to happen this year. That's going to drive people to it. Great marketing. Rhett Hobart, here's our weekly shout out to him on our show.
Every show, basically.
Love that they've decided to do that. It looked like it was a blast this year. I saw a picture of, and I think it was Adam Sparks got it. I love that he got a picture of it kind of coming past the Auburn dugout, because that's not something that we really think about, especially with football. The team is not out there to see it.
Yeah.
But the Auburn dugout, it went by the Auburn dugout, and the guys were freaking out, excited to see it. You know, they were all had their hands up, giving a War Eagle like the rest of us. So I thought that was really cool that this is a scenario where both the opposing team and Auburn's team gets to watch the Eagle flight. I love that.
You know what would be cool? It's not possible. And I can tell you, as someone who has made part of his working career working with birds and has volunteered at the Raptor Center, it would never work. So please, when I tell you this, don't get your hopes and dreams up and try to ask for this. But what would be amazing in a perfect world is the team comes running out of the tunnel, whoever, and the Eagle comes swooping in right over the top of them as they come running out of the tunnel. I mean, how amazing. Like, imagine that, Austin. Like,
I'm going to say we need to make that happen for the new college football video game.
Now that's possible.
Now
they put that in there, not realistic. And I'm not going to fault them for it though, because I will just like rewind every time. I'll just start the game over every time I try to play it, just to watch that 1,000 times, the thing swooping in every single time. And the great thing is Spirit's not flying anymore. So actually, we'll actually have Eagles that do. I'm kidding. I love Spirit too. He's a little bit of a ding dong sometimes. Anyway, so it's great to have that back. And for baseball,
hit that press box one too many times.
He flew out one too many times. He came back in every single time, I think.
He's got a little bit of free range bird in him.
He's a special bird. That's what we'll say.
We love him. He's
and I will tell you this as a former, I always will be a bird person. Bald eagles are special birds too, and I'm gonna leave it right there.
I'm a little scared. I'm scared of birds. Did you know that?
I'm not shocked. You and many others have a very irrational fear of birds.
We'll talk about it another time. Found that out at Disney World to tie it all into this life. Go ahead.
Tie it all into there. We'll definitely have to talk about that off camera and off audio, so I can let you know how ridiculous you're being for a fear of birds.
Oh, anyway. I recognize it, but it's spooky.
It can be. You just got to know that you're bigger and stronger, and
they're God's creation too.
Look, since we're here now, if you run on a cassowary, I'm sorry, then you need to you're dead. Like that's
run on a what now?
A cassowary, like it's a dinosaur basically.
Well, yeah. I'm not going anywhere near anything that looks like kind of like a dinosaur.
Yeah. Anyway, this is not Bird Hour. This is the Auburn Experience.
We've covered a lot.
And that's going to do it for Auburn Potpourri. Let's jump into our main topics tonight that we have coming up for you. Of course, we're going to talk about it. March Madness in Auburn. And then we'll catch up with Auburn baseball. We are going to be discussing March Madness, as we should, because it is the most wonderful time of the year. But as much as March Madness giveth, as I stutter I have a lisp apparently. It taketh away. And whether you are on the good side of the taking or the bad side of the taking, you can't separate yourself. Either you want to be a part of the madness or you don't, or you're not going to be a part of it. I will always take being a part of the madness, even if we are at the hands of the madness. What are we talking about? Auburn versus Yale in round 1, 4 versus 13. Not an uncommon upset, but not the most common. And the Auburn Tigers lost. And a lot to discuss around that. I don't think it should be as shocking as a lot of people are making it. But when you talk about circumstances around the game, it maybe becomes, it stings a little bit more. So Auburn's out of March Madness. Most of you who are watching this and hearing this already know this already. This is more of a reactionary commentary on that. So here's what I'd like to do, Austin, because I know you've got a lot of feelings about this too. What I would like us to do, there's a certain part of this discussion that I feel like we need to talk about, considering certain colors on the floor, white and black stripes. You see where I'm going?
I do.
Let's leave that to the last part of the show, or let's talk about other things first.
Okay.
And what happened with Auburn other than that aspect of it? Because I want to be fair. One of the biggest things out there is I don't want us to be accused of not taking a full overarching approach to this. What did Auburn do wrong to allow themselves to be in the position to be upset?
They did not capitalize on the opportunities that were afforded to them, first and foremost. I think it takes it. You can. We're not solely discussing the Zebras on the court at this moment. However, there was multiple chances they had at the free throw line in the last minute, 4 or 5, and missed them all. You cannot expect to tie a game or win a game if you cannot hit from the free throw line. Kyle feels it in his sleep. He talks about it in his sleep. You have to make your free throws. And this has been a good free throw shooting team. But when the rubber hits the road and it's pressure time, Auburn did not. They turned the ball over too much in the last 6-7 minutes, and a 10-point lead shrunk quickly. They did not capitalize on what they needed to do, regardless of who was in the game, regardless of who was available on the bench. They did not, regardless of who was calling fouls, they did not capitalize on the offensive side, on the defensive side, at the free throw line in order to give themselves the chance to win the game. Auburn was there. Look, March Madness is a great time of year. There are great teams that have lost in the first round. Okay, like it happens. But Auburn fell victim. Kentucky. Look, Auburn. I thought I saw a stat before we got on tonight. Baylor, Virginia, and Kansas have all won the national championship in the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
The years outside of them winning the national championship, they didn't make it out of the first weekend.
Yep.
Consistency is hard in this tournament. It's hard to continue to compete each year. But Auburn had the chances, they didn't capitalize. Look, and I don't want to not give props to Yale.
Thank you. That's where I was going to go next.
They have an incredible coach. I think he's phenomenal.
Was it like 20 years there at this point?
Yeah.
He's been there for a while.
He has come to Auburn or Neville Arena before and played and they had great athletes. Their guards were incredible. Pouladakis, whatever his name is. We're all going to be learning from him on New York Stock Exchange one day.
Wow.
They're all incredible athletes. And I know we all love to say they're a bunch of nerds. Well, they're also very smart. And they played smart basketball. Mm-hmm. Like they're not just smart in the classroom. Like they played smart basketball and they did well. Yep. And Auburn did not play smart and did not respond well. So all in all, I think Yale played a great game. Their guards played great, but Auburn did not capitalize when they were given the opportunities to.
On the vein of giving them credit too, what I want to reference something. I don't know what commentator to give the credit to, but it's on the CBS broadcast and not a prominent one that I would know. Obviously, we know Charles and several others on there, but he said after the game, talking about what they just witnessed, and he said, Yale and a lot of the Ivy League schools they don't get a lot of opportunities to be seen and have the chance to see what they can truly do against the upper echelon talent. And this commentator, who's not an Auburn person, used Kentucky and Auburn in the same sentence in describing these type of situations. So I
Mhm.
just want people to reference and remember that when you're mad about these things, when you're trying to use this against Auburn, nobody else in that conversation, Auburn and Kentucky were. Um, they were discussing that the Ivy League doesn't get these opportunities because they're playing each other in conference, and there's usually one, maybe two of them that are legitimately have a shot at this every year. And so you don't really get an idea how good they are. Yes, they play in the non-conference. Like we said, Yale's
Right.
been to Auburn before. I think we whooped up on them then, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, Maybe I'm wrong. But,
I think so. I mean, I think it was competitive, but
you
it
know,
wasn't like 40 point, but I think
right.
it
So
was.
you never know with these Ivy League teams. And that was his point, is like,
Mhm.
people are going to make a big deal about this, but we could be looking at a very good Yale team, even better than most people thought. We'll find out later tonight. Obviously, we're recording before this starts. I think
Yeah.
it hasn't started
Or
yet.
yeah, should be soon.
We shouldn't be playing right now. There it is. So there it is. That what Auburn could have done better, and what Yale did to maximize opportunities, giving credit and also remove and taking the responsibility. Austin, I want you to know that I have worked real hard this year to remove as much as possible. We do reaction live streams after basketball games.
Right.
My commentary about the refs. In fact, I've shut down a lot of the commentary, ignored it, /addressed, and said, that's not even part of the equation. Let's not even
Right.
discuss it. Okay. It's not pertinent to the conversation. Discussion about refs and things like that. If you are a good enough team, that shouldn't factor into the game. You shouldn't be in a position, and that point still stands here. I acknowledge that, for the refs to alter the game. However, on the flip side of that, a referee should never, ever alter the course of the game. And I will tell you 100%, I know some of you that are Bama fans that are going to see this, and rival fans, you're just going to say, here I go again. I've already seen the comments on the live stream and stuff. Trust me, I see them. He 100% altered the course of the game. And that's okay to say. And that's not making excuses. We give credit where credit is due. A referee is meant there to keep the game on track, to keep things in check, but not alter the course of the game. When you give a flagrant one call, which there have been a lot in this tournament, I'm kind of tired of it, to be honest with you. I just want to play ball. Too many looking at shots to the head. Hey, folks, referees, shots to the head happen incidentally all the time. We don't have to look at every single one of them. When you get a flagrant, it should be what happened with Chad. I know I'm talking a lot. I'm going to give you your say, but I'm a little hot about this. He's in the blowback zone right now. Chad Baker-Mazara, here's the full context. Coming down the court before the incident, I believe he got hit in the chest or head, neck, and an intentional swing at him. We've all seen the footage now. The Yale guy did not get caught. Was Chad probably John beforehand? Yes, I am 99% sure that probably was going on. It happens with everybody, not just Chad. In retaliation, Chad decided that going down the court the opposite way, he was going to take a similar swing and hit him in the chest. Was it not? Hit him in the chest. And I'm going to tell you this. That was a flagrant. First of all, Chad Baker-Mazara should be ashamed of doing that regardless. It was a flagrant one. It was not a flagrant two. A flagrant two is for when someone is in immediate danger. What you did could have caused true physical harm. Like somebody going up for a basket, they're out of control of their body, and you shove them in the air. That's why you see that thrown up on the screen. I'm throwing up the X, and they like emphatically do that. That means you're gone, usually. That is not an F2. And 3 minutes into the game, Chad Baker-Mazara has developed a reputation for himself. I grant you that. And I hope that this is a growing point for him. But that was not an F2. And then beyond that, it's not just that incident. There were some very clear discrepancies in how the game was being called going forward. So that is my stance. Like it or not, the referees altered the course of the game. And also, Auburn failed to capitalize even though they were still in the game. And Yale took what was afforded them the opportunity to take the game. All those things can be true and coexist. I will step off my pedestal for a minute and let you have your say.
Yeah, no, you nailed it on the head, partner. I fully agree with all that you said. I was really shocked that speaking about Chad's incident, that it was a flagrant 2 off the bat like that. I just think we have seen, and as we've seen before this incident, and as the tournament's gone on, there's been very physical play. There's been instances where flagrant ones that are similar, if not more so than Chad's incident, were just called flagrant ones. I do think his reputation played into it. I think that the SEC tournament, Chad is an incredible instigator and can get in the minds of other opponents. We saw that on clear display in the Mississippi State game.
Yep.
And I think that played a role in this from these referees. Now, is that right or wrong? I think there is a way that Chad and by extension KD have been able to use that in the game. That's part of the game. Is it that every bit of this sport and every other sport is just as much mental as it is physical. And they have found a way to be able to use that. I don't fault them for that at all. I think that is a tactic that more people would use if they could. I think the right person can use that.
Mm-hmm.
However, I also see the flip side where, and Coach Pearl pointed this out, and even Dylan Cardwell post game, that retaliation, and I feel like we see this in football all the time. It's always the second guy. Always the second guy gets caught. The retaliation is wrong, and it is not okay, and it costs his team.
Yeah.
And I totally agree and get with, should it have been a flagrant 2? Should he have been ejected from the game in the first 3 minutes of an NCAA tournament game? No. However, his actions are to blame first and foremost, and so it's not okay. It cost Auburn greatly. I know I'm on this Auburn Experience podcast. I am a regular Auburn homer, but Auburn wins with Chad Baker-Mazara. I have no problem saying that. Chad Baker-Mazara is the best perimeter defender on this team. His length is irreplaceable. John Pulakidis, Dacus, I don't know his name. He does not score that amount with Chad Baker-Mazara guarding him, 50% the rest of the way. So it's unfortunate. However, it is a complete, I hope, a reflection moment for this Auburn team and for Chad. His dad was there. His dad, I think we all read about that, that his dad was there and surprised him coming up, and only got to see his son play a few minutes. I know that hurts Chad and his father more than we can understand.
Absolutely.
And so I hope that this is a moment. Chad Baker-Mazara is going to be on Auburn's basketball team next year. He's going to be a key player and continue to be a stud for Auburn. And I hope this is going to be only be further a learning situation. However, to your point about the rest of the game, it was whatever the referees wanted to do, they did. We could have, if we were calling that a flagrant 2, we could have had half the teams ejected for a bunch
I saw flagrant ones and I saw a flagrant 2 not called another 2. That should have been a flagrant 2. I said, if that's not a flagrant 2, Chad Baker-Mazara is not even a flagrant. So I probably just need to leave it at that. I think the summary of all this, all the discussions around this, whether you are angry at Chad, whether you are angry at the refs, frustrated at Auburn for not being able to respond, or just flat out, you're like, Neal just deserves the credit. All those things can coexist in this conversation and be true at the same time. And I think even as we've, talked about what we think Chad would do, he would agree, I think, in hindsight now.
Of course.
And I think his team definitely agrees with that. His coach agrees with that. And we're not going to sit here and beat the kid up because he made a dumb decision. We all make dumb decisions. And
I think it's very important to remember that these are kids. I know that it's so easy in this day and age with NIL and the platform these guys have. They're kids. this Chad. I don't know Chad Baker's age. I know he's under 23. And I did a lot of stupid stuff under the age of 23. For Kyle, that was like in the 80s, but
Yeah, I knew you were going there. I knew you were going there.
Kyle, they didn't have internet, so he might not have done as much stupid stuff, but we've all done stupid stuff.
Mm.
So it's okay, Chad. I'm sure you'll never watch this, but it's okay. We forgive you. We love you, our Spanish brother. It's gonna be all
Yes.
right. We can't wait for next year.
It's over, folks, and we
Can
will
I ask you
definitely.
one question before we finish
What
this?
you got? What you got?
My wife asked me this question earlier today, maybe yesterday. Would you feel better if Yale makes this special run to the Final Four, or would you feel better if UConn just destroys everybody the rest of the way? It looks like we would have never have a chance.
I have no clue. I've thought about that a lot.
I can't decide either.
I can I have both? Can I have
I
like
think
can I
that's
have
where
the
we
can
landed.
can I just have the tournament end right here?
Well, yeah. I want UConn to. I think I want Yale to make it to UConn.
Yeah.
And that would give me a little more, like they beat San Diego State. It's like, okay, they are true Cinderella. And then I think I want UConn just crush everybody the rest of the way.
I can't. I haven't processed all that yet. But the reality is, Yale wins, Auburn loses. The year's over, and we're not done talking here about the basketball team. We need to get this out of the way. I think we'll probably do kind of a wrap up season show here, maybe even next week or the week after that. We'll see. We've got A-Day coming up, so. I know there's still plenty to discuss about this team. We want to give some credit to like Jalen and Lior, who we won't see again, definitely, because they're done with all their eligibility. But wanted to get that out there, talk about it. We did it. We can move on now. We are going to talk about something that at least we can keep somewhat calm about tonight. And we want to talk about the Diamond Sports, specifically about Auburn baseball. We can discuss any softball things that you'd like within there, but I think it's a good time. We did it during basketball season, maybe every 2 weeks or so, because, it's not that it's not worthy of talking about every week, but there's so many games and we want to give you a variety of stuff that we discuss here on the Auburn Experience. So let's catch up about it, Austin. It's been about, I think, 3 weeks since we really dug into this team. They have started SEC play. Have you looked at the Have you looked at the rankings of SEC baseball?
SEC baseball is just, it's a death pool out there.
Am I like imagining things this year, or is everybody like higher ranked than normal? Like they're always ranked,
right?
Thoughts? Like
it's brutal. It is every year, but it does feel like this year it's just everybody's elevated. And your first 2 weekends being Vanderbilt and Arkansas at Vanderbilt and home against Arkansas certainly don't help. I feel like you get knocked in the mouth right out the gate.
Won a national championship recently, or no?
No, they came very close. They were a pop fly away from beating Oregon State a couple years ago.
But Vanderbilt in the last decade, I believe they have won.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
maybe. No, probably just one. I don't remember.
So we're talking about, a time, which it always is in baseball, the SEC is dominant. We're talking about a baseball team that has, in Auburn, that has had a very successful, I would say, non-conference, losing 3 games, I think, coming into SEC play. They lost the one at the Jacksonville College Baseball Classic
to
Virginia, who was like number 10 at the time. But they had a good showing.
Double dribbled.
Hey, by the way, wasn't it awesome to see them get just murdered in the first 4? That's what you get. That's what you get. You shouldn't even been in this tournament course.
35 points a game.
Baseball. We're on baseball.
Auburn also lost to UConn in baseball. We're on a flat line here. Everything's full circle.
Okay. I'm almost vomited in my mouth right now, just with how everything's correlated. And then we lost one to Austin P, who, by the way, I don't know that you and I got to talk about this one. I was really impressed with Austin P.
Yeah.
Especially coming to Plainsman Park and the amount of offense they were able to put up. I think there's a discussion to be had, where are we at with starting pitching, especially right now for Auburn baseball. But I got to give credit where credit's due. Austin P really shot me. So I thought very successful non-conference, 3 losses. And then you look at SEC play. So first up, Vanderbilt, you go there, you get swept. you really don't look that competitive outside of the last game, but that's usually when, if you're going to get one and it's a
Right.
lopsided series, you get one because they're having their third one in line and their starters. Everybody does it, right? It's just usually how it happens. Not take anything away because we have great day 3 starters. Everybody does. But then you get Arkansas coming back, and it's kind of, to me, I'm not trying to make lemons out of lemonade. I guess I am here, or just find moral victories. But I was more so impressed with the way we, yes, performed at home against number 1 Arkansas and how competitive we were. I mean, if you just look at how the games went, lost 1-0 in game 1, 5-6 in game 2, and 8-6, and end up winning game 3. So you take one from the number 1 team in the land. Yeah, I wish we had gotten more from Vanderbilt and maybe one more out of the 2 of these series, but I don't know. Am I just trying to find, am I trying to be a, what do they call it? Pollyanna or sunshine pumper? Sunshine pumper. Am I trying to be a sunshine pumper right now?
Which you love to be a sunshine pumper.
Which, by the way, again, how
Not,
some of y'all think that's an insult just
that's right.
blows my mind. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think anytime you play those two, not absolutely ideally not back to back, but you know what you're getting. Those are ones that are circled when the schedule comes out. It's gonna be, oh, we better have our stuff together this week on these weekends. At Vanderbilt is always going to be hard. Even though it's Auburn North up there, the Nashville contingent is going to show up. Vanderbilt is a household name in SEC, but all of college baseball. That is always going to get the first round draft picks, always going to have elite pitching.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be tough. I did not have a bunch of high hopes for that series. I was glad to see that third game was competitive. And then, I'll be honest, I had a little higher hopes. I get that they're number 1 in the land, but at Plainsman Park, I had hoped that Auburn could take 2 out of 3. However, it didn't work out that way. I'm looking at the scores once more. The 5, I think that's the one. One run losses in both the first 2 hurt, mainly because you see Auburn has the chance. I mean, you're a couple happy balls and swings away from sweeping, but winning the series against Arkansas. And so it's unfortunate. However, that doesn't I don't feel as demoralized after Arkansas as I do Vanderbilt. I know you've won 2 out of your last 8 or 2 out of your last 7.
Yeah.
All that said, I think this team is still okay. We talked about in another way, basketball. You had a rough start to the SEC play, and then it kind of eased up in the stretch, and you were able to pile up some wins, and the numbers look good. I think we're going to see something similar with that. Now, Auburn or SEC baseball the rest of the way, it never gets easier, but you're able to kind of find some more common ground with Texas A&M, Tennessee, and Kentucky coming up. Tennessee being at home, those are none of those are gimmies, and none of those are going to be, where you feel like you have the easy way out. But there's light. Instead of the Vanderbilt and Arkansas games, I think. So we'll see. Auburn's pitching has to be better. I think that's just the end all be all. We love a lot of those guys, and a lot of those guys have shown that they have the stuff to do that. They just got to step up.
Yeah, the hitting's definitely been there. Cooper McMurray is having quite the time, and this is on a team with Ike Irish. And names like Derek Fabian, who's kind of come out of not nowhere. He's a transfer in, and who's really impressed with his bat at times this year too. And names like Big Bat Bobby or Bobby Barrels, whichever side of that argument you're on. The bats are definitely there for the most part. Now there are some times, like in a 0-1 loss against Arkansas, the bats weren't there, and so you can't really. The pitchers did all they could. They held a powerful number 1 Arkansas team to 1 run. What more do you need? They're like, come on, hey, and yeah. So offense is definitely the strong point of this. We've had some ups and downs with Joseph. He wasn't hurt, but needed to go work something out and come back in. Have you gotten a sense of like, does he look better? I mean, if you look at stats, sometimes it doesn't tell the whole story. I mean, what do you think?
I wonder, and I'm not a doctor. I'm not a sports psychologist. I'm not, I'm a lowly person that hangs out with Kyle every Sunday night. But I just
say
think
about me.
No comment. I think that I wonder if there's something mental with Joseph at this point, that he's been up and down, been able to pitch, been able to work out, not been able to pitch, not been able to work out, shut down for a while, back up and running. Now something doesn't feel right. It just seems like it's a roller coaster, and I hope it's not something that he can't get a funk out of the funk for.
Yeah.
But Auburn needs him, and I trust Butch Thompson. We've said that multiple times on the show. I trust Butch Thompson, especially in the pitching area.
Mhm.
So Auburn needs him to get right, and I hope he does. But it's not frustrating where I'm frustrated at Joseph Gonzalez. It was
Right.
frustrating because I know his potential, and as Auburn fans, we want to see him succeed.
And imagine how frustrated he is too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I do want to, give some maybe recipes for maintaining where we're at, but also looking ahead and giving some props too. Connor McBride gets a weekend start.
Yep.
Whether that's because Carson Myers wasn't, I don't know if it was just a new thing this week. They wanted to try it because we had a different week starting on Thursday. To me, I leaned that way. That's what happened there. But he had definitely earned a look
Yeah.
at starting on the weekend because of the way he's done in midweek. But then I'm kind of like, hey, we're locking down these midweek games where at times in the past we've kind of dropped a few of them. Let's keep that. So that's my recipe for success for Auburn right now. Keep taking care of business in the midweek games. These are teams that you should beat, but also you don't want to take lightly. Some good teams in the Southeast and some of these regional areas that we play on midweek games. Take care of business there. Continue to do that. Really maximize your opportunities at home. We saw it at Arkansas here. Really take advantage of the opportunity to win a series, to at least get a game out of there, and then just go out and try your best on the road in the SEC. It's going to be tough. And as you said, all of the things we discussed, pitching overall, starting especially pitching, maybe continuing to get better, and we got a pretty good bullpen, I think, too. Obviously, ups and downs sometimes,
Of course.
I feel like that's a good summary.
I agree.
Where we're at in baseball right now, and
in a couple weeks, Tennessee is here for a day. That's one I think Auburn needs to push hard to get 2 out of 3. Now, that's not something where I'm like, well, if they think about it and they put their minds to it, they can do it. But that's one where there's going to be massive crowds. Tensions are going to be high with Tennessee. They always are. That is one I think Auburn needs to show out for and can spark some big time momentum, similar to the LSU series last year, where it was like, okay, this team, they found their own confidence. They see that people believe them. They can get a run going. In 2 weeks, that is a big series coming to Plainsman Park that I think Auburn needs to capitalize on. So we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. Every weekend's important,
Always.
but I think that's a wise word from you, is really put some emphasis on the weekend. This is our opportunity to turn the corner, in a sense, in conference play, especially. So we will watch eagerly, and we will definitely be talking about them more in the coming episodes of the Auburn Experience. That's going to do it for episode 71. We've covered a lot, expressed a lot, dealt with a lot in episode 71. We appreciate you being here for it. If you want to keep up with me, do so on X at Kyle Loomis 24. Where can they find you?
At Austin G. Scott. This upcoming week, you will see plenty from me. The twins are turning 1 year old.
Oh, isn't that just...
Can you believe it?
It's sweet, precious, and mild. It's just like the other day we were announcing on the E2C social media.
Unbelievable. So they'll turn 1. We'll have a first fiesta for them next week. I'm sure there'll be plenty of pictures out there. But Austin G. Scott, where you can find it.
Thanks for sharing that special moment with us, too, and letting us celebrate that with you. Thank y'all for being here, hanging out with us, being part of our little family, the Auburn Family. Till we talk to you again. War Eagle.
War Eagle.